Hi! Welcome to Nights of the Craft Table.
That was too much. I meant just more like a slight pause, not a...
Hi! Welcome to Nights of the Craft Table. I'm Tory. I'm your host for this show. Yay! Today, I'm teaching you how to make a casual corset like the one I'm wearing. Literally, I'm gonna teach you how to make this exact one. I just filmed me making this one. Let's get quacking! Welcome to the magical wardrobe of fabric. Oh, beautiful, but I have to close this to get over here. We've got satins, brocades, lace, cotton, so many things. I'm just gonna reach in and pick something out and hope for the best. What I find, oh my gosh, the perfect fabric for making a corset. This is amazing. I can't believe I did that on my first try. Okay, so this is a brocade with some cute little ducks on it. And for the lining, I'm gonna pick something that's a little bit more like durable, a little bit more plain for the inside. So I'm gonna look for probably a cotton. Let's just see what I can find. Wow, got my fabrics. So sometimes I'm gonna make a pattern and sometimes I'm gonna use one that I already made. Look how beautiful this one is. It's in a bunch of pieces because I ripped it accidentally. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna lay out this fabric. You can start with any fabric you want. It doesn't have to be your pretty one. It can be the inside first. But I like to do them one at a time. I don't like to stack them on top of each other so I can optimize how much fabric I'm using. So I'm gonna lay this one out. I highly recommend using the floor. So you can see all my ducks are facing one way. And a lot of sewing people will tell you to like go with the grain line and other things like that. I don't do that. I just optimize fabric how I want to use it. So I'm gonna find where I want this piece to go. That looks pretty good. So I can line up all my ducks.
Would you say your ducks are in a row?
They are in a row. You should iron your fabric before doing this so you don't have all these things. I'm not gonna do that, but you should do it. There's the rest of my pattern piece. And now I'm gonna trace it with a Sharpie and then I'm going to cut it out. Sometimes I use chalk because chalk comes off, but this time I'm gonna use Sharpie because I'm feeling Sharpie. Basically, the line I'm drawing is the line that I'm gonna be sewing on because this pattern does not have any seam allowance. And if you don't know what seam allowance is, basically it's when there is extra room in a pattern to allow for you to like sew a certain amount in. But I don't do that. I like to add my seam allowance after the fact. I like to trace my patterns instead of just pinning them down, because then I can take the pattern off and not worry about it shifting. And like, personally, I don't like pinning them down, but I can just copy this line exactly. I need 2 of this. This piece, my pattern, you can't see it because it's on black in pencil, but it says cut 2, which means I have 2 pieces of this that go on the front of the corset. So I'm going to draw the exact same thing a second time. You can like fold over your fabric and cut 2 at once, but I'm not doing that for this project, because I want to line up the ducks a specific way. Okay, great, look at that, it's beautiful. I got 2 corset pieces. Let me explain to you what this is really fast. So this is
Broken.
It's okay to be broken, there's nothing wrong with that. So this is the side piece of the corset. This is the front. So like this is the part that goes right in the middle of your chest. And this is the part that makes up the side. And the side goes into the strap. And this strap actually goes all the way to attach in the back instead of being half and then the back having one too. So that the back can just be a little square. And then I loop this around and sew it to the back like that. Next piece. So I just traced the patterns down on the duck fabric, and now I'm going to trace the rest of the pieces. But I just have 1 like that, and then I need 2 of these, 1 for each side of the back. Look it! This is why I don't go with specific grain lines or anything like that, because look how perfectly this piece fits in the middle of those 2. So you don't want to draw patterns too close to each other, because your yellow lines are not gonna be where you're cutting, that's gonna be where you're sewing. or blue or purple or whatever color you use, but I'm using yellow right now. I also save all my scraps in this pillow right here. Okay, now I'm gonna cut it out. If you are annoying like me, you have to keep using scissors because I can't find my rotary cutter. Scissors are fine, it's okay. Right now I'm cutting out the lining, which I'm a little bit less specific about because it's just plain yellow. Yay. Instead of tracing it, I put the brocade on top of the cotton and I just cut it out because I want them to have the exact same shape and the exact same seam allowance. So when I sew the lining to it, it's not like too big or too small. So now I have all my pieces and I'm going to sew them together. I'm not gonna be talking much this part because the machine's really loud and you're not gonna be able to hear me. But I am watching still hard. Let me just put my pieces in their piles. So I'm gonna sew all of this fabric together and all of this fabric together separately, and then I'm gonna combine them. Dogs. Scooby-dop, scooby-dop, scooby-dee-dee-dop. So now I've sewn together both of these pieces and I'm gonna cut out boning, which is a structural thing to make it, a corset and not just a top. All the historical people in my comments are gonna say this isn't a corset and I say too bad about you, calling it what I want. So I'm gonna add boning here in the middle, on the sides, and in the back. For the one in the middle, I like to double it up because this is pretty thin, flimsy boning, but I get the sew-on kind because it's easier and I just sew it right to the lining. This is gonna be a speed through part. Now I have these pieces of boning and I'm gonna sew them to this yellow piece. I'm gonna make sure I sew them to the wrong side. So the side that's gonna be inside my garment and not the side that's gonna be touching the skin. This is the inside. And this is the outside. This is the side that's gonna be touching your skin. This is the side that's gonna be inside of it. Machine, come back. I'm putting my machine on a zigzag stitch on the widest width so that the zigzag will cover the whole thing and basically make a boning channel. This is how you do boning. Very easy and fast if you don't care about it being the prettiest thing in the world because you're not gonna see it. The way to combat having a problem with your seams not opening and lying flat is by ironing them. I will not be doing that, but you should. I'm just gonna suffer and keep holding them open every inch. To my lining. And guess what? Basically, the pretty much last step is to sew my lining to my outside piece. And you want to make sure you sew right sides together. So the sides that are going to be on the outside of your garment. Otherwise, your corset's going to look like this, and that's going to be silly. So what I'm going to do is sew around the bottom here. I'm going to sew all the way around the top. But I'm gonna leave these sides open so that I can turn it inside out from there. Let's go. I'm gonna use my serger because it's way easier, but you can just use a regular sewing machine, just do a straight stitch all the way across. This is just gonna take me less time and I have a serger, so I'm gonna use it. It's like starting up a lawnmower. Oh, you should press open your seams when you sew. Like this. I'm not really gonna do that, but you should. That's the theme of this show. That's what I'm actually gonna call it. I'm not gonna do that, but you should. Press open my seams, be a good sewer. sewn both sides together, I'm gonna flip it inside out through this little hole that I left on the side. But before I do that, I like to get a little tool to help me flip it inside out. Something that's pointy that can help me with all the different corners and everything. So I'm gonna... This is not a tool. What is this? Oh my gosh, it's from Prince Patreon. You guys, this is a big deal. Hold on, let me read it to you. Dearest Tory, fearless knight of the craft. My kingdom's in peril! I must ask you to rally all the knights to the craft table to save us all. There's strength in numbers. The more knights we have, the better. Please move post haste. Yours truly and urgently, Prince Patreon. Oh my gosh, you guys. I think we all have to help Prince Patreon, otherwise his poor kingdom is gonna go to ruin. You know how you can help us? By subscribing to our Patreon and becoming one of the knights in our fight. Prince Patreon would really appreciate it, and I know I would too. What can you get by subscribing to our Patreon? Well, first of all, you get to be a knight of the craft table and help out me and the prince. Second of all, you'll get access to our private Discord server where you can chat with other knights and runners just like you. We also have exclusive content like behind the scenes and other clips not found anywhere other than our Patreon. Well, now that we've gotten that out of the way, this is the actual tool I will be using. You can use a variety of objects. You could use the end of a paintbrush. You could use a pencil that doesn't have any lead in it. You could use tweezers. You could use a chopstick. You could use an actual tool that's meant for flipping things inside out, which I do have, but I don't like it because it's made out of wood and it's, I don't know, it feels weird to hold sometimes. Grab the other side, flip it inside out. You might have to work it around a little bit because all this boning makes it hard to just flip. You kind of gotta push it on in there. Making progress. I'm gonna go inside first with the back end of a paintbrush and poke out the holes as much as I can. Poke, poke, poke. Then with this little tool, I'm gonna grab the corner and like really pull it out. Emphasize that it's a corner. Dig it on in there. Sometimes you pull a thread and just cut it off. It's fine. I'm gonna pull out the sleeves, which is the hard part. Now that it's all flipped inside out and pretty, I'm gonna sew around the edges to keep it nice and flat. This is not required. A lot of people will just iron their piece so it lies flat. You can also use bias tape, which is kind of like ribbon, and you fold it over the edge. Like, this is elastic, but it looks something like this, and you go all the way around with it. It makes a nice pretty edge around your garment, but I'm just gonna sew all around. Great. Oh, also, you're gonna wanna turn this part in now, so it's nice and pretty like that. And just fold it in and sew straight on top of it. Make sure you turn your sewing machine back to the original settings and not keep it on a zigzag stitch, because that won't be helpful. Ducks, ducks, ducks. He's a lucky duck. Look how beautiful! Wow! The next step is I'm going to serge the edges of these straps. You could fold them over and sew it across. I'm gonna serge them because I just like the look of it and it's easier. And then I'm going to connect them to the back like this. And I connect them very close to this part because I find that they stay on your shoulder better the further they get pulled. How many thumbs up can I do in this video? Last step. I'm going to attach the little corset loops. You can do grommets if you want, but I find that sewing on these corset loops is a lot easier. And I just got a whole like roll of this at the Fabric District. Beautiful, look at that, gorgeous, yay. Now you just take ribbon and thread it up and then it's ready to wear. It's great. We love to see it. Quack, quack. And this is the finished corset. I think we really made a splash with this duck corset today. This is the finished product. I really like how it came out. It's a little bit small for me because I made it for Jessi, but that's okay because it has a lace-up back, which means a multiple people, multiple different sizes can wear it. Yay. We'll get clips, insert clips here of closer up to the corset. Ooh, ah, quack. Thank you so much for watching Knights of the Craft Table on Table Runners. Again, I'm your host, Tory. This was so much fun. I can't wait for you to see what we do next. We have something out every Tuesday. I don't know what, but it'll be a video. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment, and also check out our Patreon. So good to see all of you runners. Until next time, bye.